الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد.
اللهم صل على محمد
وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب.
اللهم صل على محمد.
الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، قال الإمام زين العابدين صلوات الله وسلامه عليه:
اللهم صل على محمد.
رحم الله عمي العباس، لقد آثر وفدى وواسى أخاه بنفسه، فأعطاه الله جناحين عوض يديه كما صنع لجعفر بن أبي طالب. The first of our salawat and honor of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam.
اللهم صل على محمد.
The second in honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib.
اللهم صل على محمد.
The third with your loudest voices in honor of Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman.
اللهم صل على
One final request for the brothers at the back, if they can move closer to the front, so the people at the back coming in have space. Please move closer to the front. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
اللهم صل على محمد.
Respected brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
When one examines Islamic literature, one finds very little information about the biography of Abu Fadl al-Abbas salawatullah wa salamuhu alayhi. And indeed very little information about the rest of the martyrs of the 10th of Muharram. And that if one was to study, for example, the lives of Habib ibn Madahir, or Muslim ibn Awsaja, or Hur ibn Yazid al-Riyahi, there is very little information within the Islamic literature about all their lives. And indeed it is quite extraordinary the number of people who show their love for these personalities, even though they may only know about a day in their life, or a month in their life, or a year in their life. And this indeed highlights the importance and the need for us to write about the biographies of these personalities, to go back to the Islamic sources and be able to disseminate the knowledge that exists about each one of these personalities. And the idea that in the Muslim world today, unfortunately, many of these great personalities' biographies do not exist. And therefore you find many who do not know much about their lives except what they know of the events of Muharram. For example, you find that last year in my majalis in Muharram, I had examined the biography of Ali al-Akbar. And when examining the biography of Ali al-Akbar, you find that there wasn't much information at all available in many of the biographical works about his life. And even for that matter, if you were to ask many people about the biography of Abbas Abdullah al-Hussein, you will find that many do not know much about the first 56 years of his life. As in, we know Abbas Abdullah lived in this world for 57 years. Many do not know much except what happened in Muharram. Otherwise, the rest of his life you will find that there aren't many biographies which are written which explain the first 56 years of his life. And therefore there is a need for us to begin writing about the biographies of each of these personalities. Because as the hadith famously states, the ink of the scholar is greater than the blood of the martyr. The martyr, as we know, gives life towards the human being, gives life to the society that surrounds him. Whereas the ink of the scholar gives a vision for the future. The ink of the scholar builds the vision for the future of humanity, allowing them to understand the figures of the past in order that humanity is able to learn from the examples of these people. That's why sometimes people ask the question, what is the need to discuss the biography of Abu Fadl al-Abbas? As in, of what usage is this discussion of his whole life story? Number one, when you discuss the biography of Abu Fadl al-Abbas, you are able to take from the examples of his life and apply them into yours. As in, when you discuss the biography of any famous personality, the aim of the discussion of the biography is what? Is that you want to ensure that their biography, the examples and the principles are applied into your life. What they faced, you may face. What they spoke of, you may need to implement. On the second level, the importance of studying the biography of Abu Fadl al-Abbas is that there is a need for us to make Abu Fadl al-Abbas a universal figure, not just an Islamic figure. Why? Because we have a virus in the Islamic society. We cocoon our great personalities to ourselves and don't share them with anybody else. To many, Abu Fadl al-Abbas is ours. Nobody else is allowed to come near him. Whereas the reality is, Abu Fadl al-Abbas's life is an example for every human being, not just for the Muslim world. Abu Fadl al-Abbas is a universal figure. His principles may be appreciated by all human beings, not just by the followers of the schools of Ahlul Bayt. When one begins to write the biography of Abu Fadl al-Abbas, they write the biography not through the lens of a Muslim, but through the lens of a universal human being. That the principles which Abu Fadl stood up for in his life are principles which affect every human being. For example, we read that Abu Fadl al-Abbas, amongst his greatest merits was his brotherhood with Abu Abdullah. That we read in the ziyarah, Ni'ma al-Akh al-Muwasi. We read that this was the blessing of a brother who was the best of brothers towards his brother Abu Abdullah. When we read this, what do we find? We find that he never called him his brother all his life. He would always call him Sayyidi, Abu Abdullah. The only time he called him my brother instead of calling him my master was in his final moments. Such an example of brotherhood doesn't just apply to the religion of Islam. No. Such an example of brotherhood applies to every human being. And that's when any human being hears that one man lived on this earth for 34 years and never once called his brother, oh my brother. Always he'd call him my master. It can be taken by many in the non-Muslim world as a sign and a moral exemplar. That's why, who do we see talking about brotherhood today? Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Their quotes about brotherhood are everywhere. Martin Luther King used to say, I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves will sit with the sons of former slave owners on the table of brotherhood. Look how many syllabus in schools and colleges in the world discuss this quote of brotherhood on Martin Luther King. Yet Abu Fadl al-Abbas's stand for brotherhood is not discussed in one school in the Western world. Why? Because the followers of Abu Fadl al-Abbas have done him a disservice. Instead of opening up his biography to the whole world, they keep their biography to their members and nobody else's. They don't write in a way where they allow the world to appreciate Abbas. No. To them, Abbas is their figure, nobody else's. Whereas Abu Fadl al-Abbas's life is an example to each and every human being. And that's why tonight, I'd like to examine the whole biography of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. To look at the story of this man through the hadith of his nephew, Imam Zayn al-Abidin, salawatullah wa salamu alayhi. Imam Zayn al-Abidin has an exquisite quote about Abu Fadl al-Abbas. And this quote really opens up to us an understanding of the biography of this man. He states, Rahimallah Ammi al-Abbas, لقد آثر وفدى وواسى أخاه بنفسه فأعطاه الله جناحين عوض يديه كما صنع لجعفر ibn Abi Talib. What does the hadith state? He says, mercy be on my uncle Abbas. He altruistically gave himself away towards his brother's cause, and that Allah replaced his hands with wings in Jannah in the way Allah gave wings to Ja'far ibn Abu Talib. I'd like to examine through this hadith the biography of Abu Fadl. Number one, when he says mercy on Abu Fadl al-Abbas, does this mean, oh Allah, give him mercy, or does this mean mercy of Allah is already on Abu Fadl?
This is a very important discussion. Number two, who is Abu Fadl al-Abbas? Who was his mother? How did Amir al-Mu'mineen marry her? And upon whose advice? And what was her ancestry? Number three, when Amir al-Mu'mineen named him Abbas, did he name him in the idea that this name wanted a characteristic on him or no? Number four, Abu Fadl al-Abbas, when was his first appearance on the battlefield? And why is it that on the 10th of Muharram people were scared of him? What had they seen of him when he was younger? Number five, who did he get married to? How many children did he have? How many of those children were with him on the 10th of Muharram? And number six, what were the words which he recited before he died, which highlighted the level of certainty he had reached in his life on his martyrdom? Let's examine this and we'll examine the topic in depth. Imam begins his hadith by stating, Rahimallah Ammi al-Abbas. Mercy on my uncle Abbas. The question arises here. What does he mean when he says mercy on my uncle? You see, we know very well, if these children can sit down, I don't know who's their parents. We know that mercy is amongst the greatest attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the idea that when you study the 99 attributes of God, you find Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim are amongst the greatest attributes. You find that even when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala begins the first chapter of the Holy Quran, He insists on mentioning His mercy twice in the first three verses. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Mercy is repeated on a couple of occasions, indicating the special reverence that this attribute has. That's why Amir al-Mu'mineen in Dua Kumail states, Allahumma inni as'aluka birahmatika allati wasi'at kulla shay. Ya Allah, I ask you in the name of your mercy that encompasses everything. Your mercy is that which encompasses all your creation. The plant kingdom, the animal kingdom, the human being, all of your creation is encompassed with your mercy. Hence, when the Prophet was asked that God's mercy, how is it split in this world? He replied by stating that Allah's mercy is divided into 100 portions. One out of this 100 can be seen in this world. The other 99 will be seen on the day of judgment. You know how many times people state that the religion of Islam is a religion which scares you. The religion of Islam always talks of hell and hell and hell. You find when you read this hadith, on the contrary, the religion of Islam makes you think, are any of us going to be punished or no? Because if this world, 1 out of 100 of God's mercy we saw in this world, then what about the 99 portions we're going to see in the hereafter? As it offers you the idea that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't want to throw you into hell. Rather, He looks to put you into heaven. The human being sometimes, when looking at the vision of religion, imagines that their Lord is Shadid al-Aqab only. At the same time, your Lord is also Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim. He is merciful and He seeks to display His mercy towards you. One day a man came to visit our Holy Prophet. The Holy Prophet was in his house. This man thought, considering Hassan and Hussein are in the house, I want to take a present towards the Prophet. What did he think he should take? He saw a pigeon on its nest. When the pigeon flew away from the nest, there were 2 of the babies of that pigeon in the nest. These 2 babies of that pigeon in the nest, he came and took them and he went towards the house of Rasulullah. When he went towards the house of Rasulullah, he knocked at the door, Rasulullah answered. When Rasulullah answered, the man said, Ya Rasulullah, I thought to myself that I want to make sure that I get you and Hassan and Hussein a present. He said, what is it? He said that I thought for Hassan and Hussein, these 2 babies these 2 babies I want to give you. Rasulullah said, is that their mother that is encircling our house? He said to him, yes. He said, do you see the amount of mercy that that mother shows its child? He said, yes. He said, Allah's mercy is greater towards His creation. Notice that here the Prophet was giving a metaphor that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His mercy is greater than the mercy which that bird would show its children. You find therefore that even within Islamic theology, a question arises. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells me, if I perform X and Y, I'll go to heaven. And if I perform Z, I'll go to hell. is Allah obliged that when I perform X and Y to send me to heaven? And is He obliged when I perform Z to send me to hell? The theologians state that if you perform X and Y, Allah is obliged to send you to heaven. But if you perform Z, Allah is not obliged to send you to hell on certain issues in the Z. Because His mercy encompasses His wrath. And He may allow His mercy to encompass His wrath even on that issue. And therefore the question arises, how is Allah's mercy divided? Allah's mercy is divided into three. Ibtida', ataf, and awad. Ibtida' is Allah's mercy which He gives to every one of His creations, irrespective of whether they are a Muslim or no. What is that mercy? That He brought us into this world. Isn't that a mercy? هل أتى على الإنسان حين من الدهر لم يكن شيئا مذكورا إنا خلقنا الإنسان من نطفة أمشاج نبتليه وجعلناه سميعا بصيرا إنا هديناه السبيل إما شاكرا وإما كفورا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's first mercy on that level is that He brought us all into the world. Every single human being received that mercy, that they were not even worth mentioning. Allah opened the doors. The second type of mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what is it? The second type of mercy is that sometimes He is merciful to people even though they don't deserve it. There are some in this world, they don't deserve any mercy when they walk on this earth. Some who were the hypocrites of hypocrites. Some who were the most barbaric of characters. Yet did they have food every morning when they woke up? There are some who never asked Allah for anything. Yet He still gives those who ask and those who don't ask. That's the second level of mercy. The third level of mercy of Allah, if you do a good deed, I'll reward you. One on one. The question arises when Imam says, Rahimallah Ammi al-Abbas. Mercy on my uncle Abbas. Is the Imam asking Allah, Ya Allah, please give mercy to my uncle Abbas? Or is the Imam saying, no, my uncle Abbas is already receiving the mercy of Allah? It's the second. Why? Because Abu Fadl al-Abbas' stand on the 10th of Muharram was on that third level of mercy. You do a good deed, I'll reward you with my mercy. When Imam says, Rahimallah Amir Abbas, he's not asking Allah to send His mercy on Abbas. No, that's a very important point. He is saying that the mercy of Allah is already enshrouding Abu Fadl al-Abbas. That's number one. Therefore the question arises, what is the origin and the history of Abu Fadl al-Abbas? Amir al-Mu'mineen's wife, Fatima al-Zahra, salawatullah wa salamu alayha, died in the 11th year after Hijrah. Abu Fadl al-Abbas is born on the 4th of Sha'ban in the 26th year after Hijrah. Which means on the 10th of Muharram, he was 34 years old. The question arises that if Amir al-Mu'mineen, his wife died in the 11th year after Hijrah, and Abu Fadl al-Abbas is born in the 26th year after Hijrah, there's a 15-year gap there. Did the Imam marry al-Baneen straight away or no? No. You see, the Imam had married a number of women in this period according to different historical narrations. Amongst the women he married, for example, Amana, who was the niece of Fatima, the narration states to us that she said to him that I want you to marry her after I pass away because she is the one who shows love towards my children. That's number one. He married Asma bint Umays, the mother of Muhammad ibn Abu Bakr, who of course gave him a son as well, Yahya, who died in the Battle of Siffin. He married Khawla bin Ja'far, who gave him Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah. That was another wife. And there was another lady he wanted to marry, who he wanted to give him sons who would be valiant warriors. So what did he do? He went towards his brother Aqil. In the mosque of Rasulullah in Medina, there were 4 who used to sit on carpets, individual carpets. These 4 who used to sit on individual carpets, one of them was Aqil. Aqil would sit there and these 4 people would come up to them and ask them about the ansab, the genealogies. People would come and ask them. They'd want to get married, for example. They'd come up to them and they'd say, we've got a problem. What is it? We want you to find us a woman. Her ancestors are renowned, let's just say, for example, are renowned traders or are renowned teachers. Amir al-Mu'mineen, when he came to Aqil, he said to him, Aqil, my brother, I want you to find me a lady who I want to marry, who her ancestors have got the most valiant warriors. What did Aqil reply back to him? He said to him, just give me a month and I will find you that lady. See, sometimes people imagine, he came to Aqil, Aqil said, al-Banin. No. Came to Aqil, Aqil said to him, give me 1 month. Let me research the genealogies and I will tell you who the best lady is for you to marry. When he came back to him, he said to him, there's only one lady. He said, what's her name? He said, Fatima al-Kilabiyya. He said to him, how's her ancestry? He said, she has some of the most ferocious warriors as her ancestors. Who? He said, have you heard of Mula'ab al-Asinna? He said to him, yes. Mula'ab al-Asinna, he used to have a hobby. He used to chase wild animals. A wild animal normally chases you, don't they? Mula'ab, he used to chase the wild animal. He used to look around, is there a wild animal? I want to chase him. They used to say to him, what are you doing? As in, you've got to leave the act. No, I want to run after him and find him. That's number one. Amr bin Sa'sa'a, number two, who was also one renowned wrestler of the lions. Number three, Abu al-Barra. And number four, Mulahal. He gave him the ancestry one by one. That he told him, Mula'ab al-Asinna, Amr ibn Sa'sa'a, Mulahal and Abu al-Barra. These are the greatest warriors. And without a doubt, Fatima al-Kilabiyya, her ancestors as the greatest warriors. That's why on the 10th of Muharram, who else is a Kilabi? Shimr bin Dhul Jawshan. Shimr bin Dhul Jawshan is who? Is al-Banin's cousin. He's from the same lineage. That's why on the 10th of Muharram he said, where are the sons of my cousin? Let them come towards me. I will offer them protection. Likewise, some narrations state Yazid's mother, Maysoon al-Kilabiyya, was also from al-Banin's family. Because Yazid's mother, Maysoon, she's a Christian Syrian. The Kilabis had a branch in Syria. Maysoon was from that branch. They were known as tall, exquisite warriors. The Imam married her. When he married her, he made it clear to her that this is my intention when I marry you. The narration states after they had got married, she said to him something. What did she say? She made it clear to him that I want you to change my name. Her name was Fatima. She said to him, I want you to change my name. He said to her, why? She said, because every time I hear you call out Fatima, I see you and there are tears which come down from your eyes. It's as if that affection for Fatima al-Zahra was still there. Because that Fatima al-Zahra gave him 4 beautiful children. And therefore what you find? You find she said, change my name. The name was changed into al-Banin, the mother of the sons. He changed that, and that was her title. She gave him 4 sons. The first son she gave him was Abu Fadl al-Abbas on the 26th year after Hijrah, on the 4th of Sha'ban. The second son she gave him was who? She gave him a son 10 years later by the name of Abdullah, in the 36th year after Hijrah. The third son she gave him was whom? Uthman, in the 38th year after Hijrah. The fourth son she gave him was whom? Ja'far, in the 40th year after Hijrah. Because Ali ibn Abi Talib died in the 40th year after Hijrah. That was the last son that she gave him. 2 questions. When he named his son Abbas, did he name with that name so that it's a characteristic which affects him? Or is it a name which has no meaning whatsoever, which affects you and your character? Because in Arabic grammar you have a name which can be mushtaq or jamid. Meaning what? Meaning you have a name which either you want that characteristic to imprint on the person's character, or you have a name which really isn't a characteristic. For example, if I want to name my son, let's say Shajara, tree. I want to name my son the tree. I don't think a tree is going to have an effect on his character. As in, like, a tree isn't going to come and have any meaning. But if I name my son Adil, for example, Adil means the just. So I want justice to be embodied in his character. I want the name to be one which is mushtaq, not jamid. Something which has an effect. When he named him Abbas, it's because he wanted the word Abbas to have an effect on his name. Because Abbas meant the one who frowns when on the battlefield. Abbas literally means the one who frowns. Abasa wa tawalla and ja'ahul a'ma. Abbas put on the context as the one who frowns when he looks in the battlefield. Therefore, when he named him Abbas, he wanted that characteristic. That this young man, when he emerges on a battlefield, you know very well his presence is there. And he has not come for a joke, he's come to finish you when he comes on that field. Another question arises, why did he name his son Uthman? Because his third son Uthman was named and he was born in the 38th year after Hijrah. Uthman ibn Affan, the third Khalifa, died 2 years earlier. Question, why would you name your son Uthman? As in today, in some communities, if somebody was named Uthman and he came to our communities, you would find people say we disagree with that name because we have differences of opinion politically with the issue. He didn't name his son except after Uthman ibn Mad'un. Uthman ibn Mad'un was one of the greatest companions of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He was the 14th convert to the religion of Islam. He was known by Amir al-Mu'mineen as a man who in the days of Jahiliyyah, he never ever drank alcohol even though those around him all drank. Because of that, Ali ibn Abi Talib used to always say that this man is a man of purity. That in the times of ignorance, he would never ever be seen to be drinking. Therefore, when he had his third son Uthman, he named him after this man because of his purity. And you find that Amir al-Mu'mineen would have a close relationship with Abu Fadl al-Abbas. That can be seen where? That can be seen on a number of occasions. The first of them can be seen in the Battle of Siffin. Because the first appearance for Abu Fadl al-Abbas was in the Battle of Siffin. How old was he? He was 11. Because he was born in the 26th year after Hijrah. In the Battle of Siffin, it was in the 37th year after Hijrah. Abu Fadl al-Abbas was 11. In Muawiyah's army in Siffin, there was a commander by the name of Ibn Shasa, or Ibn Shasa. This commander in Muawiyah's army had 7 sons. And when he was in the army of Muawiyah, the narration states to us that he came forward at the beginning of the battle. He said, let Ali ibn Abi Talib come out and fight me one-on-one. Because I am ready here with my sons. They'll either kill him or I'll kill him. Must be a brave man. As in Ali ibn Abi Talib's resume on battles is quite good up to that day. But he was brave enough to say that. Amir al-Mu'mineen called Abu Fadl. Abu Fadl was only 11 at the time. He called him, he said, come here next to me. He said to him, I want you to go out there. And I want you to wear a mask when you fight. Don't tell them who you are until I tell you. On every time his son comes out, I want you to go out and attack the son. When the first son came out, he finished him. The second son, he finished him. The third son, he finished him. 7 sons, he finished all of them. The father came out, he said, Ali, I will finish you in the way you have finished my sons. He killed the father as well. The army of Muawiyah at Siffin wondered, this Ali ibn Abi Talib finish these people off like that? They said to him, Ali, remove your mask. What did Imam Ali do at that moment? He came out from the back of the battlefield. And he came out riding his horse. And they looked at him and they said, well, if you're riding the horse, then who is that? He was wearing a mask as a young man. And when he's wearing this mask, his father's next to him. He turned around to his father and he said, shall I tell them who I am? He looked at him and he said, don't tell them yet. They asked again, tell us who you are. Again, no reply. On the third time, he said, tell them who you are. He removed the mask slowly and he looked at them. And he said, Ana Qamar Bani Hashim, Abu Fadl al-Abbas. I am the moon of Bani Hashim, Abu Fadl al-Abbas. They replied to him with some interesting wording. They said to him, but there are already 2 moons in the army of Muhammad, Hassan and Hussein. He replied with these outstanding lines. They are the sons of Muhammad and I am the son of Ali. And it's the role of the son of Ali to protect the sons of Muhammad. They are the hands of Ali and I am the eyes, and it's the role of the hands to protect the eyes. When he said that, they recognized his presence there and then in the battle. They recognized that this young man, young son of Ali ibn Abi Talib, was a commanding warrior, a man of a presence who nobody could come near. And indeed, in the ziyarah, amongst his qualities isn't just that he's a mujahid. No. In the ziyarah of Abu Fadl Abbas, we say, نِعْمَ الْمُجَاهِدَ الصَّابِرِ. Sabir, why? Because even before Karbala, Abu Fadl Abbas had displayed a great amount of patience when he saw his elder brother Imam al-Hassan dying. Because when they came to bury Imam al-Hassan wanted to be buried where? Imam al-Hassan wanted to be buried next to his grandfather. Certain political people of the time, Marwan ibn al-Hakam amongst them, they ordered, you cannot be buried near the grandfather, do not allow him. They ordered that his body is taken out. When his body was taken out, arrows enshrouded the body of Imam al-Hassan. Abu Fadl al-Abbas pleaded with Abu Abdullah, let me fight them. Let me at them. That's my big brother. How dare they enshroud his body with arrows like that? Abu Abdullah said to him, wait, there will be a day when you have your moment. But now you have to be patient. His sabr straight away. He stopped there, he said, that's it. If Abu Abdullah tells me that I don't need to go out and fight, then that's it, I'll stop. And that's why even al-Banin, when Abu Fadl Abbas wanted to get married, al-Banin, look at this lady's devotion to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. It's a unique devotion. al-Banin, when Abu Fadl Abbas wanted to get married, you know what she said to him? She said, nobody can decide who you marry except Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. You have to go to Abu Abdullah. You need to ask from Abu Abdullah who you should marry. Abu Abdullah said to him, marry Zakiyya, the daughter of Al-Fadl ibn Abbas. Zakiyya, the daughter of Al-Fadl ibn Ubaidullah ibn Abbas. He went Al-Fadl, the daughter of Ubaidullah ibn Abbas. He married Zakiyya. Zakiyya, two narrations. One says Zakiyya gave him 4 children, 3 of whom were present in Karbala. A second narration says no, she gave him 2 children. One of them was called Fadl, hence Abu Fadl. The second one was whom? The second one she gave him was Ubaidullah. And Ubaidullah is the one who, when Sayyidah Zainab returned back to Medina, Ubaidullah is the one who, when al-Banin heard about Karbala, she dropped him. Therefore you found that Abu Fadl Abbas had got married. He had those children. The narrations say to us that he would always be valiant alongside Abu Abdullah. And indeed in the hadith there is an interesting line which Imam mentions about his uncle. He says, Rahimallah Ammi al-Abbas. May Allah have mercy on my uncle Abbas. لَقَدْ آثَرَ. Please listen to the Arabic grammar, it's very important. Ahlul Bayt do not pick any words. They choose particular words to describe actions. لقد آثر وفدى وواسى أخاه بنفسه. Why does he say آثر بنفسه and not آثر على نفسه? آثر means an act of altruism. Imam is describing in this hadith that Abu Fadl al-Abbas has performed an act of altruism. He says, آثَرَ بِنَفْسِهِ أَخَاهِ الْحُسَيْنِ. He gave away himself. The question arises here. Why doesn't he say آثَرَ عَلَى, on himself? Why does he say with himself? Because there's 2 types of altruism in life. There's 2 types of selfless giving. There's one, for example, where there is food in front of me. I want to eat it, but I see somebody else who wants it. So what do I say? I said, don't worry, I won't eat. You can have it. I have some water in front of me. I see somebody else thirsty. I say, don't worry. I won't drink it. You drink it. That would be آثَرَ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ. That would be somebody who selflessly sees something, he wants it, but he says to somebody else, no, you can take it. آثَرَ بِنَفْسِهِ differs. How? آثَرَ بِنَفْسِهِ is not that you can take it. No. I'm willing to give myself away completely to you. When he said to him, when he described his uncle, he said, آثَرَ وَفَدَى وَوَاسَى أَخَاهُ بِنَفْسِهِ. It means that Abu Fadl al-Abbas didn't do the lowest form of altruism, where he said, no, somebody else can take the stance. He said, I will give myself away for my brother Abu Abdullah. And that's why when you look at the next line in the hadith, what does it say? The next line says, فأعطاه الله جناحين عوض يديه كما صنع لجعفر ibn Abi Talib. Allah gave him gave him wings to replace his hands in the way he gave wings to Ja'far ibn Abu Talib. Question number one, Ja'far ibn Abu Talib, why would Allah give him wings? Because Ja'far ibn Abu Talib, the uncle of Abu Fadl al-Abbas, died in the Battle of Mu'tah. The Battle of Mu'tah was in the 8th year after Hijrah. Ja'far, the brother of Imam Ali, the son of Abu Talib, Ja'far had gone to lead this army against the Romans on the borders of Jordan. When he went to lead this army, he led the army with Zayd and Abdullah ibn Rawaha. When they led this army, one narration states Zayd was killed. Then Ja'far, the uncle of Abbas, was fighting. He was holding the flag. They cut off his right hand. He managed to hold the flag with the left. They cut off his left hand until they killed him. When Rasulullah heard that Ja'far ibn Abu Talib was killed in Mu'tah, Asma bint Umays, the wife of Ja'far ibn Abu Talib, said to Rasulullah, she said, I am saddened by the martyrdom of my husband Ja'far. Rasulullah replied to her by stating what? He replied to her by saying to her, do not worry. Jibreel has informed me that Allah has replaced his hands with wings. The question arises, why would you need wings in heaven? What's the need for wings in heaven? Already in heaven you can do anything. You can point to anything and you'll get it. Wings in Islamic poetry and in Arabian poetry indicates majesty of the angels. Because we know that angels are seen as being one of God's highest creation. An angel, however, has intellect and no emotion. An animal has emotion and no intellect. The human has intellect and emotion. Therefore, if a human being can balance their intellect and their emotion, then they become higher than the angel. But if their emotion overtakes their intellect, they are lower than the animal. There are some human beings in history, Allah wanted to show that they are my angels on earth. So when Rasulullah said Ja'far ibn Abu Talib flies with wings in heaven, it doesn't mean that he literally flies. It means he is the angel of the people of heaven. Likewise, when Imam says, my uncle Abbas, his wings have been replacing his hands, it doesn't mean literally Abbas is given wings. It means that Abbas has reached such a level in the people of the heaven that Allah sees him as being one of the majestic angels. That's why our sixth Imam in the narration clearly states, he states that if the people knew what position Allah has given Abu Fadl in heaven, they would be envious of that position he's given him. Imagine, that position Abu Fadl al-Abbas gained in heaven. Why? Because Abu Fadl al-Abbas's nafs was dedicated to the nafs of Imam al-Hussein. When his father was dying, his father had given a wasiyah to each of his children. Sayyidah Zainab came, the wasiyah was to Imam al-Hasan. Abba Abdullah came, the wasiyah was to Imam al-Hasan. You find, for example, Kulthum came, the wasiyah was to Imam al-Hasan. al-Baneen had come to Amir al-Mu'mineen. She had said to him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, my son Abbas, you have given a wasiyah to everybody. Abu Fadl al-Abbas was only 14 years old on that day. She said to him, you've given a wasiyah to everybody, but my son, he said, bring him next to me. He bought those hands, and may Allah bless those holy hands. He bought those hands and he put them with his hand and he said, my wasiyah to you is with Abba Abdullah al-Hussein. With that stranger, I want you to be alongside him. You see, when he had to go and get the water, the lines of poetry that he recites when he goes to get the water are unbelievable. It goes to show you a man who, when he went to collect that water, a man who was dedicating his service to Abba Abdullah. First lines, Ya nafsu min ba'd al-Husayn huni وبعده ما كنت أن تكوني هذا الحسين وارد المنون وتشربين بارد المعين. You know, when he had come to that water, he picked it up. As he picked it up, he wanted to drink it. Then he said the words. What did he say? He said, oh self, After Hussein, there is revival. But after this life, there is humiliation if you are not on his way. This is Hussein drinking the syrup of death while I drink the syrup of this cold water. He didn't accept it. He put that water back in. When he went back with the water, they came and they cut his right hand. He recited the lines, وَاللَّهِ انْقَطَعْتُمْ يَمِينِي إِنِّي أُحَامِي أَبَدًا عَنْ دِينِي وَعَنْ إِمَامٍ صَادِقِ الْيَقِينِ نَجْلَ النَّبِيِّ الطَّاهِرِ الْأَمِينِ. I swear if you cut off my right hand, I will forever protect this religion and protect an imam who is truthful and certain, the great grandson of the Holy Prophet. When he took the water into the left hand, they came and cut his left hand. Do you know what he said? يا نفس لا تخشي من الكفار وابشري برحمة الجبار مع النبي السيد المختار. O self, do not be scared of these kuffar. Rather get ready for the mercy of the Jabbar, where you will be alongside the chosen one who he sent to this world. These words indicate a man who selflessly was giving everything away to the message of the religion of Islam. That's why no fitter words are more beautiful than the words of Abbas Abdullah when he saw Abu Fadl and he said, Al-an inkasara dhahri. Now my back is broken. When he saw Abu Fadl al-Abbas lying on that ground, the narration states to us that Abu Fadl al-Abbas had pleaded with Abbas Abdullah to allow him to go out and fight the opposition. Every time Abbas Abdullah would receive the pleading of Abu Fadl, he'd keep telling him, remain patient and wait. Every time Abu Fadl al-Abbas would ask Abbas Abdullah, allow me to go out, he would ask him, let me fight them, those who have killed my nephews. For they had killed Al-Qasim and they had killed Ali al-Akbar and they had killed Awn al-Muhammad. He wanted to go out and fight until he heard the cries of Sukayna bint al-Hussein. He heard her calling out, Al-Atash, Al-Atash. The thirst is killing us. He came to Abu Abdullah. Abu Abdullah gave him permission to go out. He said to him, I want you to go and get some water for Sukayna and for the other daughters of Rasulullah. He came out towards the battlefield. He went towards the river Furat. As he approached the river, the narration states to us that the soldiers surrounded Abu Fadl al-Abbas. When they surrounded Abu Fadl al-Abbas, they began to fight him. The narration states to us that he killed 83 of the opposition. He killed 83 of them. He got to the river Furat. When he got to the river Furat, he saw the water in front of him. Imagine for days you have been thirsty and now the drink of water lies in front of you. But he said his lines when he said, how can I drink the syrup of cold water when my brother Hussein drinks the syrup of death? He took that water, he put it in the flask, he went back on his horse. On his way back, Umar ibn Sa'ad had ordered his soldiers to sit on the trees so that they can envelope and they can engulf Abu Fadl al-Abbas upon his return. When he was returning, all of a sudden they began to surround him. One of them came and he struck the right hand of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. When he struck the right hand, Abu Fadl al-Abbas took the flask in his hands. He took it in his left hand. When he took it in his left hand, they struck him on his left hand. Now Abu Fadl al-Abbas carried the water in his mouth. He was trying to hold on to the flag at the same time. He was sitting on the horse. When he was sitting on the horse, the narration states to us that somebody came and struck Abu Fadl al-Abbas with an arrow on his eye. Imagine the scene for Abu Fadl al-Abbas without his hands and now with an arrow on his eye. He called out, Abu Abdullah, Adrikni, Aghithni, come towards helping me.
One of the scholars narrates an incident. He says that when he had given the majlis of Abu Fadl al-Abbas, in his dream he saw Fatima al-Zahra. When he gave this majlis, he saw Fatima al-Zahra crying. He said, after I had given the majlis of Abbas, when I had seen her crying, I wondered why she was crying. I asked her, have I said something wrong in my majlis that you cry? She said, no, you haven't. He said to her, then what is it? She said, whenever you recite the Masa'ib of Abu Fadl al-Abbas, I want you to mention one line. He said, what is it? She said, normally when somebody falls off their horse, they normally have their hands in front of them. But when my Abu Fadl fell from his horse, he fell straight down without his hands in front of him. He was lying on the ground alone. Abu Abdullah rode his horse. The narration states Abu Abdullah rode that horse like he had never ridden before. But on his way that horse stopped. When it stopped, he wondered, why is this horse stopped? He got off his horse. He saw the right hand of Abu Fadl on the ground. He came and he picked up that hand. He continued on the horse stopped again. Again he wondered, why is this horse stopped? He saw the left hand of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. He saw the left hand of Abu Fadl al-Abbas on the ground. He came near Abu Fadl. Abu Fadl didn't know who it was who had come near him. All he had said to him is, I beg you to allow me to speak to my master Abu Abdullah. Abu Abdullah came, he took the head of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. When he took the head of Abu Fadl al-Abbas, removed his head. Abu Abdullah put the head back, he removed it again. Abu Abdullah said to Abu Fadl, why is it that you remove your head? He said to him, because at this moment you have my head, whereas in a few moments who will carry the head of Abu Abdullah? Look at that selflessness of this man. And then he said to him, do you mind if I call you my brother for the first time? I want to have the honor of calling you my brother rather than calling you my master. Imagine how much this hurt Abu Fadl al-Abbas and how much it hurt Abu Abdullah. Abu Abdullah wanted to carry the body of Abu Fadl back, but Abu Fadl al-Abbas said to him, no, leave me here. He said to him, why? He said to him, I am ashamed to return to Sukaina. I promised her that I'd bring her some water, but I'm going to return without any water being there. Sayyid Mahdi Bahr al-Ulum, may Allah bless his soul, narrates that when they were reconstructing the grave of Abu Fadl al-Abbas in Karbala, he narrates that I was in charge of the reconstruction of the grave. He's the restructuring of the grave. He said when I was in charge, the people were coming, they were looking after this grave. He narrates that when they were looking after it, one of the builders came towards me. When he came towards me, he said to me, he said, you know, you say Abu Fadl al-Abbas was a tall man. He said to him, yes. He said, I'd like to question that. He said to him, why? He said, because we have been reconstructing his grave and the grave is very small. Sayyid Mahdi Bahr al-Ulum narrates that I began to cry in a way I've never cried before. He said to him, oh Sayyidi, why do you cry? He said, I wonder how many times they chopped the body of Abu Fadl. That his grave is that small, how did they come and strike his body? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us on the path of Muhammad wa al Muhammad, to raise us with the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman, to allow us to be amongst those who protect his message. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow us to receive the intercession of Abu Fadl al-Abbas. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the Surah al-Fatiha, but before it, the loudest of your salawat.